All right, so we covered the chit priority, and of course, unit cost is very similar to what it is for the option modifier. And basically, if the restaurant knows like roughly what that menu item costs, they can put the unit cost in there, and then they can run a profit report. Again, most people don't really use that function or the chit priority function. Tear. This is a term that you may not have heard before. So tear in just like regular people speak is basically the weight of a container. And since I mentioned the weight of the container, you should already know where this is going, right? I mentioned before that we can sell menu items based on weight. So what some locations do is this: they say we only sell, I mean, you're only being charged for the weight of the actual product, not for the weight of the container, the however you hold it, whether it's a box or a carton, something like that. So what they want to do is remove the weight of the container, and that's what the tear is. So if they know on average this type of container weighs this much, they'll remove that from the weight. Most of the times people use that is really for like an ice cream or a yogurt shop, right? So that's where we see it a lot of. There's also certain locations that might sell things like, say, potato salad or some other food, even cake, some other food product where it's sold by weight, and they might want to remove the weight of the packaging or the box. And that's what that tear is. So whatever you enter there, again, let's say that the weight is exactly 0.10 pound, right? So when you weigh the product, whether it's ice cream, cake, or whatever else it is, let's say it's exactly half a pound. Well, it's going to subtract that 0.10, 1/10 of a pound. So even though when you weigh everything together, it weighs half a pound, you're actually only being charged for 0.40 pound, right? Because it's going to remove the weight of the container. So that's what that tear is for. Today's special, again, we're going to skip that. That's not not too important for what we're doing now. Food type, we're going to skip that. Kitchen line 1, 2, and the receipt line 1, 2, it works exactly the same way as in the option modifier. So, if you have a name in English and you have a name in Chinese, if you jump down to the bottom, you can click copy and it will copy the names. If you want this menu item to print in Chinese in the kitchen, you check that and it will only print in Chinese, or you can print in both or only in English, right? So that's what that's for. Same thing with the receipt line. So it works exactly like in the option modifier, right? So it basically is controlling the printing either on the receipt, which menu item name it prints, either on the receipt or in the kitchen. Uh, Commission, you can see the commission setup here. It's very, very basic compared to what you would see in a salon, right? So we have a commission setting, which is none, flat amount, or percentage. And we can also type in the flat amount or percentage over here. Um, see, don't worry about the minutes. Again, I'm trying to skip things that you may not use too much. Now, right here, menu item type, that's actually kind of important, right? So if you set up a menu in the salon before, we really separated between two different menu item types, so to speak. One is a service, right? The other is a product. Over here, we're kind of doing the same thing, except it's either a menu item, a gift card, gift card is works similar to the salon. A combination, which if you've ever set up a package, right, a combination package in a salon, you'll notice that when you create it, and then after you create it, when you click on it, it adds multiple services just by one click. Same thing, a combination menu item will add multiple menu items with one click. right? Sometimes you might have a set lunch or set dinner, right? So when you add it, it comes with, say, let's say it's a set lunch with a hamburger, right? It'll come with a hamburger, it'll come with French fries, it'll come with a soft drink. You can add all three of them separately, or because it's one set lunch with a set price, you can just click one button and it would add all three. So that's what that combination is for. And of course, I mentioned before that we had a special item for pizza. There's an on-screen pizza builder and functionality and stuff like that. That's what this is for. Again, we're not worried about the pizza item right now. We're mainly dealing with menu items, so that's what's chosen by default, and that's what we're going to leave it at. Jumping down, hot item. You remember the you know, when I was showing you basic usage, we had a hot item category. Now I'm going to enable this for hot item. Now, just to go back to the sales screen for a moment. Whoops. Give me one moment. Let me disable show hot items. You know, this is the menu. So when I jump to a different menu category, it shows all the menu items for that category, right? So if we had more and I click on it, that's what it would be. And wherever the menu item is, I have to go to that category, look for it, and then add it, right? In general, that's how it is, you know, not dealing with the menu number, searching, or anything like that. Well, let me go ahead and re-enable hot items. And again, just to note down, when we change categories, right, the items actually change, all the menu items. So let me enable two items for hot item, one from the steaks and one from the coffee. Now you notice on the bottom here, this is the hot item category. Now this is a little, there's a lot of empty space because again, I'm just teaching you how to do the menu setup, so it's not a full menu. But if this was a full menu, you would have a whole row of categories. You would have a lot of menu items. But when you change menu, generally speaking, right, all of your menu items change. But you notice down here, this is what we call our hot item on the bottom. No matter what category I change to, it always stays there. So the hot items are basically a special category that no matter what main category you go to, those menu items will still show up. And they can belong to any category. So they're used to kind of quickly add menu items that are popular, right? So if half your customers always order this one drink, well, you can put it over here on the hot item list, you know, hot item category, and then no matter where you are on the ticket, no matter where you are on the menu, you can add that menu item right away, right? So if I click iced coffee from here, it adds it. Now, again, I'm in the drinks category, but I can add a steak, right? Or if I'm in the steak category, I can add my iced coffee. So that's what that hot item is used for. Not everyone will use it, but certain places, again, they're pretty busy locations and they have items that like a lot of their customers always order, so they want that to always show up, and that's what that hot item flag is for. Okay, and that's the hot item. Exclude from discount is pretty self-explanatory. Basically, this menu item cannot be discounted. So when we enable that check flag, it says whatever discounts you have, do not apply it to this menu item. I explained what a bar item was before, right? The bar item is basically any menu item that's an alcoholic beverage. So when you flag it as a bar item, when you print it on a receipt, it separates the tax for that. That's the purpose of it. So it'll list all food tax on one line and all alcoholic beverages, you know, the tax for them on a separate line. Now hide is a special function. And let me go in to here, right? Now this menu item, the drinks category, we have a hot coffee and an iced coffee. So let's go back and take a look at the menu. I can add the hot coffee, and of course I can add the iced coffee because they're showing up. I can click the button. Well, there's another function here. So what if you ran out of the ingredients to make a iced coffee, right? You don't want your staff to be able to ring it up on a ticket because then they'll have to go back to the customer and say, hey, we can't make you this food item. We don't have the ingredients for it. So the manager or owner can come in the back here, click on the iced coffee, and then hide it. So now let's go ahead and take a look. You'll notice the hot coffee, the iced coffee, I cannot add it to the menu anymore. I did not delete the item, but what I did is I hide it so that way they cannot add it to the menu. This is more maintenance function, but again, it's there as part of the option, so that's what it's for. And again, it's mainly when you run out of ingredients to make a particular menu item, you don't want your staff to accidentally add it to the ticket. Now, there's one other thing with that. If we jump back to the main category, oops, not for this. Sorry, never mind. It was a different version. So let's just go back to the menu item. Right, hot item bar, hide item countdown. Item countdown here kind of goes with the item count, but again, it's not used that much, so I'm just gonna ignore it for now. Tax inclusive, we kind of followed that function and what it does with a choice modifier. Again, you know, whatever the price is, it's not. Again, let's pretend this is this menu item is $10. It's not $10 plus tax. It's going to sell it at $10. You know, if we enable the tax inclusive, it's going to sell it as $10, but tax has already been put in to come up to $10. So it would, you know, probably be 9 something with the rest of it taxed so that it comes out into an equal $10, you know, nice and even. Now, auto show option group. I'm actually going to jump to the iced coffee for a moment. Auto show option group, when I enable that, whoops, before I enable that, let's go ahead and take a look at the menu item again, iced coffee. When I add the iced coffee and I want to add, say, sugar or cream or whatever, I got to click on it, the menu item after I add it, and then it'll pop up the item commands. It'll also pop up our option groups and option modifiers, right? The choices. Then I can add the choices. So that's how it's been operating, and that's what we've been doing. Well, what if you wanted to automatically pop up those choice modifiers? And that's what the auto show option group is for. And when we do that, we have to make sure that one of them is required. At least one option group is required. So now when I add, whoops, let me, yeah, I guess I'll keep it that way. So if I add the hot coffee, just so that we're in a ticket, you can see that. Now when I add the iced coffee, it's going to bring up the option modifiers. Now this is a guide through mode, and we can turn that on and off, but again, it's just listing. You know what, let me disable guide through just so it's easier for you to see. Sorry, again, you see there's a ton of options in here. All right, so before, when we added the coffee, we had to click on it, right? And then we had to click on the iced coffee to bring up the option modifiers. Right now, if I just click on iced coffee, it automatically pops that up. So that's what that auto show option group is for. So, you know, certain menu items, you must choose an option. And you guys should have one example in your mind already. What menu item do you think would need a required option? One of you, Joshua?
For the to auto show, most likely yes. For example, like uh, for the example like coffee. So automatically, let me think.
No. What if I
like
what
this.
if I just
Uh,
wanted black coffee?
yes, I like steaks. Yes, let's put steaks. So it must have the option either well done, medium rare. So
Yeah,
it
your
will,
temperature, right? How you want it cooked, right?
yes,
They
how you
can't.
want it to.
So we've been using steak as an example the whole time, and that's an example of a menu item that has a required choice. So you want it to automatically pop up and ask you, hey, how do you want the steak made, right? Whether it's well done, rare, or however you want it cooked. So that is an example of a menu item where you want it to automatically show the option group. Whereas something like an iced coffee, again, now when we're drinking coffee, it's probably not. I don't think Philippines drink as much coffee as we do in the United States. But when you drink coffee, people drink it black, meaning they don't have any additional options. It's just coffee. They can also drink it with sugar, or they can drink it with cream, or they can drink it with cream and sugar. So you may not want those options to pop up. You may want it to pop up, but you may not. But there's going to be um, menu items, again, the steak as an example, where you need it to pop up because we need to tell the kitchen staff how to cook the steak, right? So we want that option to pop up. Okay. So that's what the auto show option group is for, right? So it automatically pops up. And you can see that depending on how the menu item is made and what type of options we need for that menu item, you can see that it's a lot of design and thought that has to go into it. Once you kind of get used to the system, you'll know in general what type of options you need, right? You may not always get it correct, but you'll probably get it like 90%. And again, I said it before a few times. That's why for a restaurant, most of the time when we build the menu, we usually have to either send it to the owner or manager, so that they can play with it ahead of time, or we may have to consult them after they get their system just to see what additional changes they need. Unlike a salon where, the typical salon menu, once you've built it, 90% of the time you don't have to go back to tweak the menu, right? It is how it is. Restaurant is different. 90% of the time you will need to go back and tweak the menu just to build it the way they want it to, because there's always changes that's going to be made, right? Top corner here is more, buttons, how they look, things like that. So exactly same as salon, color of button, things like that. Jumping to the prices tab. Now, the prices tab, we have size options, and you actually have to create your size templates, right? Size options is very simple. Small, medium, large, right? Extra large. Those are sizes, right? So when we're making a pizza, for example, a pizza shop, you might have one that does exactly that. The sizes are small, medium, large, extra large. Um, those are the typical size, or it can actually be in inches. So your small might be a 10-inch pizza, your medium might be a 14-inch pizza, your large might be a 16-inch pizza. So that might be how they show their sizes. But sizes can also be something like, say, a drink, right? Small drink, a small size drink, medium size drink, large size drink. For things like soda, when you get it in a mall, right? They don't have bottles of soda, they don't have cans of soda. It's going to be in a cup, and they say small, medium, or large cup, right? So that's why size is important. So I'm not going to cover size template just yet. For the most part, we're just going to have a single size at the moment because I haven't shown you how to create a size template. Now here, when we delete all data, unfortunately, one of the things is it doesn't clear all your sizes. So we already have different sizes created. And you got to create your size template first and then select it. And then you notice we have two different prices that we can add. I'm going to skip that for a moment and just show you the basic price options for now. We'll cover size template in just a moment. Now, when we're doing price option, we have different ways of calculating the price, right? Let me just go on this drink item just as something that's going to be more simple. So let's go on a price option. Now, in this case, I did 350. Okay. Whoops. Now I chose unique price, and unique price means there's a price already set for this item. So when we add it, it's going to be 350, and that's it, right? And that's what you need to pay. Not including any tax, of course. Take a look at some of these other options. Okay, what if we chose request price? Well, when I choose request price, what happens, you'll notice, is it grays everything out right here in terms of pricing, right? I can't click on it and type. If I choose unique, I can click on it and then type. So when I choose request price, what do you think it will do? Joshua?
You'll be the one to enter the amount.
Okay, when?
So on the time that you select the item or the, for example, the hot copy, so it will ask you how much will be the price for it.
Okay, so when I add this item to the ticket, right, the menu item, it doesn't matter what it is, but when I add this menu item to the ticket, it's going to ask me to enter a price, right? So when I add it to a ticket, you see right here, instead of saying it's 350, now it's going to ask me for the price. I mean, I can type 375, right? Or I add it again, I can type 450. So I type in the price at the time I make the sale. Now, coffee is not a great example of that because most of the time your coffee is one set price and that's it. A better example would be if we had a seafood dish. I think a lot of places in the Philippines might be the same way, but like some of the seafood, right? Because the price changes every day because especially with fresh seafood, you don't know if you can catch it, right? Today you might have a lot of a particular fish, right? Tomorrow the fisherman can't catch any. So the price can change. For something like that, that is when we use request price, right? Because we don't know what the price will be. Today, you may have a lot, again, you may have a lot of this particular fish, so it's cheaper for the restaurant to buy it. Tomorrow, fisherman only caught two. Guess what? Price will go up. Okay? So that's why we use a request price when, the price of the ingredients jump up and down a lot and the restaurant doesn't know what the price will be. Okay? So we set it to request price. That way, when you sell it, you can type in a price. We also have, of course, the price based on weight. Now, we do not have a scale attached to this, but we definitely do support scales, right? So I'm not too worried about a scale because a lot of them don't do that. A lot of them don't order a scale to attach to it, but we can still set this based on weight, and I can set it to $5 per pound, right? Uh, Before I do that, let me make sure it is per pound. Nope, set to ounce, sorry. So when you sell this item, let's say it was actually based on weight. So even though you don't have a scale attached, I told the system it's going to be $5 a pound, right? When I do that and it knows that a scale is not integrated, when I ring it up, this is not asking me for the price. If you can read it, it's asking me for the weight, at the very top. So let's say that I type that this is half a pound, 0.50, half, and it's $5 a pound. What do you think the price will be? It's $5 a pound, and I entered that we're selling half a pound.
$2.50.
Right, $2.50. Okay. If we had a scale, we can actually put this item on a scale. When we ring it up, it'll actually read the scale weight and then calculate the price. So if we don't, we would then manually have to type in the price, and that's based on weight. Request price and name. This is a much better way of doing an open item to me. Now, let's backtrack a moment, right? When we created the revenue department, we had to flag one of them as an open item. So any open item that you create is going to be reported under that revenue department. When I created a category, we had to flag one as an open item. So any open item I create will be reported under that category, right? With taxes and everything. So let's go ahead and log on, right? I've got, whoops, sorry. I've got my menu item. I've got a ticket here, and on the bottom left, I'm going to click open item, right? Open item drink. So I can do that, add it, and send it, but it'll be reported under food because that's the default open item category. But this is actually a drink, right? And it just happened my open item category is a drink, but what if it was not? That's where the problem lies, okay? So any open item is going to be reported under a preset open item category and a preset open item uh, revenue department and everything. Well, that's how an open item will work. Well, let's go back to our menu item, right? What if this menu item is, I set it to request price and name? Well, what happened is it's going to be reported under whatever revenue department I select here. And it's, that's where it's going to be reported, and whatever category that I created it in. So if my category, if this item, actually, let me create a brand new one. Sorry, just to make it easy. I'm going to create a new one. So I'm going to create an open item drink, and then I'm going to create an open item steak, right? So this is what's going to happen. If I go to the drink category, there's an open item drink. When I click on it, right, I can still type in a name and still type in the price, but it's going to be reported under the drink category, and it's going to be reported under the beverage revenue department, because that's what that's what I did when I created this item, right? If I go here and click on the open item steak, it's going to be reported under the steak category and the food revenue department. If I did the same thing, I can type the same exact name using the open item function on the bottom left. But again, you see it's not as flexible, right? Because anything that I create, even though I may create one called open drink and one called open steak, it's going to run the report. It's going to calculate the tax all based on preset revenue department preset category. I have no control over it. So this is a better way of doing an open item for us. So that's actually the preferred way. So if they have a lot of open items, that's what I want you to do. And that's what the request price and request name does, right? It's going to ask you for the to type in a name similar to an open item and type in a price similar to an open item. But the good thing about that is the category and the revenue department, all of that is preset based on what you created here. So it gives you a lot of control and over the open items, right? So that's what that request price and name option is for. Okay, any questions on that? Okay.
Nope.
So those are the basic price options that we have here. Now, again, I'm not going to cover the size templates and things like that just yet. I'm just going to, again, you see there's a lot of numbers here that you can enter. So I'm going to skip all of that for a moment. The only other thing I will say is under the price options, regular price has one price, pickup has one price, and delivery has one price. Now, regular price is, of course, dine-in tickets. Bar tab tickets also count as dine-in tickets. So they're basically tickets where the customer is going to sit inside the location and then eat the food. And again, regular price will apply to dine-in tickets as well as bar tab tickets. Now we've got, I'm going to uncheck the same price for all types, and that's the same price for all tickets. Some special restaurants that we have, if you do a pickup or a delivery ticket, the price is different. Why? Because think about it, right? If you do a pickup or delivery, they're going to have to put it in a container that they give away. Okay? So that's why they may charge more money for that. Not always, but most restaurants don't do it, but some restaurants do. So what you can do is tell the system that pickup tickets, and pickups are fast sale tickets or actual pickup tickets, to use a different price. In this case, I can type 375, right? So if you dine in, eat inside the restaurant, the same menu item will be 350. If you do a fast sale or a pickup, that item will be 375. If you do a delivery, you can choose yet a different price, meaning you deliver the food, you can charge yet a different price. So that's for delivery tickets. And of course, for delivery, there's two big costs, right? You have to tell someone to deliver, number one, you got to package up the food, and the packaging is additional money. And then number two, you have to bring the food to the person, so that you need to hire more people to deliver food. So that's why you might charge a different price. Most places, again, they charge the same price, but again, it can be different. And this restaurant POS software does allow you to charge different prices for the same menu item based on the type of ticket. And that's what this is for. So that's something you have to be very careful of, right? Jumping to the link to tab, we kind of covered this already. Okay. So at the very top is the option group, right? So how many option groups does this item belong to, right? Or rather is linked to it. So if you had a lot of option groups, you can select multiple ones and they would show up. Now, just an example, I'm going to select no option groups. And this is a hot coffee, right? So hot coffee, when I add it and I click on it, there's no option groups. Let's go back. Now let's add one option group. I'm just going to add the coffee options. So now this time when I add it and I click on it, you see the coffee options show up, right? Coffee options, and I can choose one. Same menu item again. This time I'm going to add sides. I mean, I know a coffee doesn't really have sides, but it's really about the functionality and what we're doing. So now I enabled two different option groups. Hot coffee, if I click on it, now you see that we have two different option groups, right? Coffee options, sides, they all show up. And let's go ahead and enable every one that we have. So we enabled every option group right now. One, coffee options, salad dressing, sides, temperature, right? So we have all of that in here. Now, what if you want temperature first, right? Actually, let's go to the steaks. Let's do the same thing. We're going to enable two option groups, size and temperature, right? Size, temperature. Now, this particular steak, of course, you get to choose size, but you also choose your temperature. So I'm going to add the steak. If I click on it, temperature shows up and sides show up. You'll notice that it's in alphabetical order, or it's probably not as noticeable, but just trust me. By default, it is in alphabetical order, right? But we can control that. So in the steak, you notice temperature was first and sides was second, because again, alphabetical order, right? T before S. So we can actually control that. Let's go back. And this time, if we look on both sides and temperature, you see there's a position column, and both of them are 0. So if you have the same position number, it's going to go by alphabetical order. But this time, what I'm going to do is this. So I'm going to put size as position number 1, and I'm going to put temperature as position number 2, right? Whoops. You know what? I forget exactly how it's going to do the order. Let me do this. I'm going to add more. Sorry, guys, but I'm going to add more. So this time, instead of how it's listed, I think it's how it's listed here. That's how it's going to show up. But instead of doing that, this is what I'm going to do. I'm going to make temperature show up first, sides show up second, coffee options third, and then last is salad dressing. 1, 2, 3, 4. I'm going to change the position number. So based on that, temperature will be the first option group shown. Sides will be the second option group shown, coffee 3, and of course salad dressing 4. Click on it, and that's exactly what it's going to do. Temperature first, sides, coffee, and then salad dressing. So it will reorganize this list of option groups based on what you type in on the position. That's exactly what it does. Okay, so that gives you control, because depending on the type of menu item you're making, you may want certain option groups to show up first. It's, logically speaking, right? So that's what this is for. Next, right? Kitchen printers. Yeah, we'll go to kitchen printers and then jump down. So kitchen printers, where does this menu item show up? So depending on what the item is, right, you may send it to a certain printer. Now, this is a steak that we're creating, so of course, logically speaking, it goes to the kitchen, right? And that's what you do. You enable it. It will send this menu item to the kitchen. But you don't have the option of sending it to just one printer. You can actually send it to multiple printers. There's some restaurants where they say, I want this menu item sent to 2 different printers or even more printers, right? And then it may not just be the kitchen. Let's say this is food. They may have a grill, um, you know, they may have a grill printer, they may have a soup printer, they may have an appetizer printer, and then a drink printer. So they can have a lot of printers, and this may be sent to a very specific printer. So just check wherever you want it to go, click OK to save, and it will only send to that printer. Or if you check more than one, it will send to all of the ones checked. Menu item. Now, just like how I showed you an option modifier can actually be sent to different, or actually added to different option groups, you can add this steak or whatever the menu item is to multiple categories. So right now, this steak item is only on the steak category. If I jump to the drinks category, it's not there, right? Let's go ahead and go into steak. Enable it for the drinks category and save it. Now, if I go to drinks, you'll see the steak there. And if I go to steaks, of course, it's still there. So the same menu item can belong to multiple categories. All right. All right. So that's it for right now. We're going to take a quick break. Right. This meeting is about to end. So we'll take a quick break here and then come back in about 5 to 10 minutes and then continue with the menu setup. Okay.
All right.